Hello, I'm Sarah, a hand lettering artist and creator of Ensign Insights. I teach hand lettering and calligraphy and how it can help you feel like your best self. In this video, I'm going to share how to add quotes to your journal and planner by walking you through 3 specific quote layouts that you can use to fill in different spaces in your journal. I'll show you how to do a 2-page quote, a single-page quote, and a mini quote. Let's start by talking about why you want to add quotes to your journal. I love quotes. I think words are really powerful. There's something about making a beautiful quote beautiful that makes it feel like it could actually be true in your life. My journal is filled with quotes that I hand lettered. That's why I call it a hand lettering journal. If you're learning hand lettering and calligraphy, lettering quotes is a great way to practice, and quotes are a great way to fill in pages or small areas of your bullet journal. The first thing we have to do is find a quote that you want in your journal. So how do you find quotes? Well, I find quotes in a few different ways. One, I like to read books that are uplifting, so I get a lot of my quotes there. I also get quotes from songs. And number 3, I like listening to podcasts. And number 4, from movies or shows that I'm watching. And sometimes if I have a certain topic in mind, I'll Google it, like happy quotes, and see if there's anything I like there. I also like to letter affirmations. A lot of the time I make them up by thinking, what do I need to hear right now? And I keep track of all of the quotes that I want to letter with a running list in my Notion. You could simply create a note in your phone to keep track. That way, whenever you need a quote, you have something to pull from. Now that you have a quote to use, where are you going to put it? If you have some blank pages to fill, adding a quote is a great solution. So depending on what pages that you need to fill, I hope one of the 3 quote layouts that I'm going to show you will help. It'll be the 2-page spread, the single-page spread, and a small filler quote. For the 2-page spread, I'm going to be using the Calligraph brush pens in the tropical colors. I really love these tropical colors. So these brush pens are awesome because they have a large brush tip and a small brush tip, which is just so great. And before we get started, I just want to remind you that there are endless ways to letter a quote, so don't worry about getting the perfect quote. Just letter lots of different quotes, and then that's how you're going to learn the kind of style that you like. So for this quote, you can see I am just drawing a curve. We're going to be lettering along a curve. This is a super simple way to be able to letter any quote that you want without worrying too much about the layout. So I just am making any curve, it doesn't matter what your curve is, and I'm going across the full 2-page spread. That's one thing I really love about these Art Journal of notebooks is that they lay flat so well that it makes it really easy to get right into the center of the crease. And then the curve changes a little bit as I go down, and that's okay. The idea with this is to be this like pop of color with a little quote along the top. And you could do this for like a monthly layout or whatever it is that you're doing. I just love having this pop of color. So I always start with a pencil, and I am just writing in a script style font. And the quote I'm using is, "Colors are the smiles of nature." And I'm going to use the acrylograph pen. This is the metallic set, the dark black gray color. And I'm just going over my pencil mark. I can erase, so it's okay if I'm not going exactly over it. And then I'm just gonna go in and add the downstroke. So I'm doing faux calligraphy here. Basically, you just find wherever the downstrokes are and it just gives it a more calligraphy look. If you want to use your cursive or your regular handwriting, that looks great too. But I just decided to make it stand out a little bit more. I wanted to have this faux calligraphy look. And then I'm gonna go in with the gold from the metallic set of acrylographs, and I'm just gonna add some stars and polka dots to my rainbow. I think it's really pretty to add a little bit of shimmer and adds just the extra little pop that you need to complete this look. And I just love that this quote is on the curved baseline. It just makes it a little more playful. Next, for the single page spread, I'm going to show you how I would fill the page with a quote. So first I start by just writing out the quote, and then I'm going to look at different words. So I'm underlining the word that I want to stand out, and then I'm just creating different sections of similar size words to lay it out. And then I'm just going to do a couple of sketches, and I'm using 2 different fonts. So we're mixing fonts here. I think that's a great way to make certain parts of your quote stand out, and especially if you have a little bit of a longer quote. So I know that success is the word that I want to stand out here. And then I'm just playing around with the layout of the words below it to see if I can get them to fit all the way across the page. Starting with a pencil sketch directly in my journal, I'm just getting it laid out. And one reason I really like a dot grid journal is so that it helps me to line things up just right and get the same baseline and the height of my letters. And I'm going to erase a lot until I like how it fits together. Because the word what is smaller, I spread out the letters a little bit more so that it could fit across the page. And you do have to watch out for like my G, the descending stroke of my G was hitting the T, so I had to work around that a little bit. And then I'll erase just enough so I won't be able to see the pencil lines through my ink, but not all the way, so I still have my guides. I like using a kneaded eraser for this because I find I have a little more control of how much I'm erasing. And then I'm going in with my calligraph brush pens, the larger side, and I'm tracing over my pencil sketch. The trick with using brush pens is that you give heavy pressure on the downstrokes and light pressure on the upstrokes. This can take a lot of practice to get smooth transitions between heavy and light pressure. So it's okay if it's a struggle at first. Also, you can get different thicknesses of your downstrokes just by giving your pen different amounts of pressure. So you can see the word success. I pressed really hard and got the full width of the brush pen. And then for my script lettering, I'm not pressing as hard for the downstrokes, and so it's not quite as thick as what I got in success. So the trick is just to be consistent and be intentional about how much pressure you're giving your letters. I used gray for my words because I'm going to add some shadows in different colors to the letters. I'm using the small side of the calligraph pens to get the shadows. And to create a subtle bubble look, I'm adding some white details to my word success. It makes it look like the light is hitting it in just the right places. I used my white acrylograph pen for this. The trick to adding shadows is just to make sure you're staying consistent with where your shadows are. So I always say to myself, to the right and under. That's how I remember where I'm putting my shadows throughout the word. And I'm changing the colors as I move down this quote. I really like that it's just a subtle color. And then I'm going to add stripes to the top and bottom of the page just to bring in a little more color. I'm doing a thick and thin stripe, which is really easy to do with the brush pen. And here is the final look. I love how this turned out. I like having that subtle color. For the other side of the spread, you could match these colors in whatever you're doing on that page. And now for the third quote, we're going to do a small filler quote. So let's say your weekly spread has 7 boxes for each day of the week, but that leaves you with a tiny little area. So we're going to add a quote here. You want to choose a smaller quote since we don't have that much space. And you're going to do a block for each word in your quote. So the quote I'm doing is enjoy the moment. I like an easy 3-word quote for this. So there's going to be 3 blocks. If you're doing a longer quote, you can have more blocks. I am going to use the acrylograph pens in 3mm because it's a little bit easier to fill in a larger area like my blocks here. And that's one thing I really love about the acrylograph pens is that you can layer on top of them with each other, which makes it super nice to do something like this. So before going in with my words, I'm just going to do stripes to have a colorful background because I'm going to do white for my words, and then I'm using my tropical acrylograph pens just to get the stripes, and it's really easy to do these lines following the dot grid. It just adds that little pop of color that I always love. And then I'm going in with my white acrylograph, and you can see that it wasn't coming out very well. So this is a really helpful trick. If this ever happens to you, you start using your acrylograph pen and it's not coming out as you want it to, all you do is shake it. It's like the easiest thing, but it helps so much. So I just shake the pen as much as I want, and then I go back in and ta-da, the paint works great again. So here's the final piece. I love just having a little quote in the corner. And also I wanted to show you, here's an example of using the brush pen as the blocks, and you can use it to fill an entire page. So that gives you a couple of different options for the block quote. I hope these pages gave you some ideas to add quotes to your own journal. If you need some quote inspiration, I give free monthly challenges in my email newsletter. You can find that and all of the supplies used in this video linked in the description below. We'd love to see what you create. If you post on Instagram, feel free to tag me and Saint Insights and Archer and Olive so we can see what you created. Thank you so much for watching this video.